and I think particularly social media has annihilated young people's self-confidence and ability to communicate in long form, i.e. 280 characters or more. So anything that can open up sort of like this kind of dialogue and say, hey, it's okay not to be okay, I'm jacked up, you're jacked up, let's talk about it, can only really be a good thing.
Being excited by something totally unique and original that had its own voice. There was also a lot of important questions being asked.
I think it's all I get is a little bit more Google juice, and I really let people down.
It's a reflection of the times that we're in. Everyone's looking for a shortcut all the time.
It's kind of brilliant seeing you who looks like you, but you're not yourself.
Let's just all start being honest with ourselves, our friends.
You know, Adam, I know you'd obviously worked with Aaron before in Change for Life.
Yeah.
So when he kind of contacted you and said he was writing this film and this character, Oswald, with you in mind, it's such a great character. So what was your first reaction to finding out that he was writing this?
So I didn't find out about the specifics until I got the script. We did Change, and that did sort of like the circuit. And I've way smaller scale than this. This has been like mind-blowing for me. And after we did the circuit, and working on reading Change, and before even getting on set, I sort of like had a great deal of admiration for how he'd written the script. And then when you get to like work, I'm like, okay, I now have a great deal of respect for you as a director. And then we did the circuit, and we stayed in contact anyway. So like growing to love him is just a mate. So when he asked me, would you work with me again, I had no problem being like ding round to, let's go. And then let him go away and sort of like write the script. I think you should let writers and directors write and direct. And I didn't want this to suffer from like death by colleague or death by studio or death by like 1,000 dumb opinions, which happens way too much in this industry now. And then, you know, got the script, read it straight away. And then he was there like nervously for like 2 hours while I read through it. And I think my only notes were, so I need to learn to yodel. Fair play. But other than that, I was, all in.
Yeah.
We were doing Kaufman, so I'm like, in on this.
Yes. And then, Sebastian, I heard that you had kind of, heard about this project and approached Aaron yourself about wanting to become involved. Is that how did that all kind of come about, and what really stuck out to you about this project and this script?
Yeah, my agent sent me the script and I read it and I really loved it. I found it to be so original and unpredictable, and I watched Chain for Life, the film that they did together, and I thought that was really incredible. And then we had a meeting and we sort of connected on his vision and how he wanted to make this, and again, besides sort of being excited by something totally unique and original that had its own voice, there was also a lot of important questions being asked, and it felt like it was worth, even though I knew this was going to be a fight, to get it made, because all the good ones usually are. It was going to be worth it.
And then when you two, I read that you kind of Zoomed with each other before starting on the project. What were the kind of questions that each of you, I guess, wanted to ask each other about your characters and your work and your processes?
Yeah, I mean, I with regards to things like characters and processes, I try not to think about that too much, because then you get in your own head and the whole thing becomes a bit mechanical and paint by numbers. And I think acting is at its best when you just truly get lost in the moment with another like actor or soul. But I think I wanted to kind of serve Sebastian as best I could and be really honest about my experiences, my upbringing, my childhood, to help him find the right headspace to like operate him. And but also in like a really weird way, almost like equip him and give him permission to sort of like go to those like places.
Yeah, I mean, I was doing all this research because you don't know a lot of Edward's backstory in the movie. I mean, you get glimpses of things, but you don't know where the apartment comes from, where and when he decided to be an actor, what happened to his mom, where was his father? Was his father over there? What was his childhood? And so, like, I was doing research and then trying to piece together different testimonies from people that I'd found, online and on YouTube, who had experienced similar things, either with NF1 or other disfigurements. And then when I spoke to Adam, it was really helpful to kind of learn firsthand from him just what it was like, and try to take all those things and incorporate it into the movie as best as possible.
Yeah, I'm sure I won't be the only person to have made this comparison, but I think it's interesting that the film's coming out quite soon after The Substance, because that's another film which is different in many ways, but it also deals with ideas of self-image and how we're perceived, and they both, feature these kind of experimental medical procedures that end up not going the way that people want them to. Do you think, often when films that are dealing with similar matter come out at the same time, it means it's tapping into something? Do you think that this is tapping into something which is especially current?
Yeah.
It's out there in sort of like the zeitgeist, and I think they both ask similar questions. Granted, they take different ways to get there, and the films are wildly different beyond this. And I think it is time we sort of like had these conversations. I think we've all, particularly on like this side of the industry, I think we've all sat in this like vow of noble silence long enough, and I think particularly social media has annihilated young people's self-confidence and ability to communicate in long form, i.e. 280 characters or more. So anything that can open up sort of like this kind of dialogue and say, hey, it's okay not to be okay, I'm jacked up, you're jacked up, let's talk about it, can only really be a good thing.
I definitely feel like it's not necessarily a coincidence of The Substance in this film. I mean, maybe we're onto something in the sense that I feel it's a reflection of the times that we're in. Everyone's looking for a shortcut all the time. You can go online and see people that are addicted to plastic surgery, addicted to Ozempic. They want the cure. They want the shortcut. They want the quick change. They want to be accepted. It's total dependence on other people for validation, and not as much investment in the self and in trying to understand the self and what's happening on the inside, because no shortcut's really going to help you with anything. Which is why these addictions are happening, because you keep wanting that dopamine hit to get you out of there, but then you're crashing just as fast.
Yeah. One of the things that this film made me do is it made me seek out Chain for Life, which I hadn't seen before, and then I got home from the screening and wanted to watch it. Do you hope that this film having a bigger release will make people want to seek out your previous film that you did with Aaron?
I mean, it's always nice to have your sort of body of work like respected and seen, but I think this goes like deeper than that. I think it's all I get is a little bit more Google juice, and I really let people down. I want people to go away from this having changed like how they think about them and the world around them, and their place in it. And we want to hold up mirrors, not placards. We want to change how people think, not what people think. And as I said, we want to just start a nice little conversation that we can all have with like honesty, grace, and integrity. And because you don't know what you don't know, right? And the language around this area is like super complicated, and I think it's been made deliberately so by people throwing down PC mindsets and being like, ignorance is no excuse. Like, no, it is the first time, and if you come to me and get it wrong, I'll lovingly correct you, and we can go from there. But yeah, let's talk and risk getting it wrong so we can all learn to get it right.
Yeah. And I just wanted to quickly say I was at a screening of The Apprentice last night, which is a very different performance for you. Yes, a press screening, yeah. And
I wish I knew when these things happen.
And, it must be great. I know these films were filmed about a year apart or so, but it must be great as an actor to have two such different films coming out quite close together. Is that nice to get to show two very different sides to your acting range?
Listen, it's very hard to have one movie that's great and that's good, and to be able to have two that I think are sparking conversation and asking the right questions has certainly been exciting, and trying to take it one day at a time. I mean, the story with that film has been one day at a time to begin with. It's interesting to me because the more I've spoken about both films, I actually do find that there's these parallels in terms of some of the themes, and integrity. What is acceptance and what is self-abandonment? How far do you go to deny certain things in order to validate your own reality? Self-created reality, and I think those are the right questions. I saw something the other day, which I'll leave you with, and it was great because somebody was talking about why is just almost impossible to answer, but how is actually leads to something, and we should be asking how more than we ask why.